I knew you would make it happen.
Oh my goodness. Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. Smart Business Moves. As you can see, Liz is with us. Good afternoon,
Hi,
Liz.
y'all.
Our guest this afternoon is Samantha Snider. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Good. Excellent.
Holding the fort down in the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. What's the temperature today?
Good question. I don't know. It's like 76 inside.
Oh, I was
as long as you're inside.
Let's see. It says it's only 106 today.
Oh,
that's weird.
My gosh, I'm so glad I'm not outside in a car somewhere.
Yeah, with the windows rolled up.
Wow. You know, 106, the windows rolled down. You know how I'm such a heat whiner, Tom.
You don't do well in heat.
I don't.
I'm gonna be tomorrow.
The temperature could be like 30 degrees inside. You're fine with that. Wake up with
totally good.
Ice on your, the glass of water next to your bed will have a sheet of ice on top of it.
Totally good. That's fine.
Liz would hate my pool. My pool feels like tomato soup. It's horrible.
What? What? I don't understand that.
In the pool, it feels like soup. It's gross. You have to get out.
Because it's warm or because it's thick?
It's so warm. And I don't have aerators because I have a 32-foot above ground pool. It's quite a big thing. It's a behemoth.
So it gets hot fast. Because I never really thought about that. I guess with the weather, the temperature there, it's always hot.
Yeah. So you got some ice or
you got some fans here, Sam, saying hello. Heather's with us.
Hi, Heather. Hi, Dawn. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Dawn.
Yeah.
I saw Dawn in December. She came out for a conference, and we went to the Olive Mill for dinner.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Leslie's with us.
Marlo. Hi, Leslie.
I like Milo's. Hey, y'all. Hey, Sam. Sounds like
last week in Texas last week.
What'd you say? You were in Texas last week?
Yeah, I wanted to go where COVID is strong.
Oh.
Yeah, so it started to die down a bit in Arizona, so you had to go hunting for it.
Yeah, I actually went to Washington after that. It was great.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that I found out you came up to Washington after you left. Sam.
I didn't go to Seattle. I went into the Portland area.
I don't live in Seattle, Sam.
Olympia. I didn't go there. I went to Yakima and Portland.
Washington.
I used to drive to Portland at least once a week. You know that. It's not far.
I know. But here's the great thing. I come back very soon, and because I need a cabin. If you have a line on anything under 100,000, let me know.
I don't. But if I ever get one, I'll let you know.
Well,
I don't know.
Oh, Maria's here too. You're a big draw. Look at all of the favorite peoples are on here, right?
It's all the COVID. Hi, Maria.
So before the whole hour gets away from us and I forget to do the things that I'm supposed to remember to do, let's talk about what we're doing for the rest of the week.
Before we do that, Tom, could we talk about it being an unprecedented time? Just so we don't like we did yesterday.
At the time, and Samantha's going to be sharing with us how to pivot and take advantage of this unprecedented time in a way to create value inside of our business. And I'm excited about that because unprecedented times call for unprecedented measures.
Yeah. I was super impressed when I heard what Sam was doing and saw what she's doing. I'm like, especially because she's so closed-mouthed about stuff sometimes. She's just like, do, going along. And I'm like, what the heck? This is cool, girl.
It's called Crazyville. I don't even put my head up.
What are we doing tomorrow, Liz?
Let's see. So tomorrow we're having Kurt on, Kurt Kempton. Kurt's awesome. I know, right? He's so cool. He's just a fun person to listen to. But he also has a great message too. The message this time is overcome your fear of online quotes and scheduling and then make more money. Because a lot of people are just nervous about bidding online and also scheduling jobs sight unseen, letting the customer schedule their own jobs. And he's gonna tell us and show us why we don't need to be afraid of that. He's got some data, he's got some strategies. It's gonna be awesome.
Awesome.
And then we have a secret guest on Thursday. And today's only Tuesday, so tomorrow we have to give the easy hint. But today's hint is not coming to my brain. I'm looking at my notes here.
So let's see. What did we do
Chop, chop.
earlier? He's
He's been on our show before.
He's been on our show before, and he'll have a good message for our flock.
Yep. And we I feel like we kind of gave some of our hints away, and people still didn't get it. But let's see. One of the things that we've talked about him a lot, and so this is kind of an easy clue, is that he does multiple things at the same time. Unlike everybody else. Who only does one thing, right?
So, yeah, that narrows it down a lot. This should be.
But these multiple things are impactful.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. And again, it's only what, Tuesday, so we don't want to make it too easy. I think last week was a little too easy. Too many people guessed.
Everyone guessed.
Yeah.
Megan, yeah. But I did say likes over and over again. Oh, all righty.
So I know that we've got a lot of stuff to cover in a very short amount of time. Sam, you want to just tell us what's going on in your world and what you've been up to, and let us know how we can help?
Yeah. You can help by getting me more connections for more COVID cleaning. That's what
I'm talking about for the next hour.
Okay. Well, if you don't ask, so
that's right. Fair enough.
Let me start by telling how this all came about. Has anybody ever heard of COVID-19?
How do you spell that?
Sam, you almost just made me spirt coffee. I would not have been happy with you.
It's COVID. Just kidding. Okay, so at the beginning of all this, we didn't get hit immediately like you people did, and a lot of up in the north and in the east where it was super difficult. So we thought we're going to be okay. I was like, look at us in Arizona. It's all good. We've had like 2 clients put us on hold. And then gradually, like everybody else, we saw it go down. So our residential dropped, I don't even know, 40 to 50%. Sometimes, people come back quicker when they figure they don't want to clean their dirty house, but I had to do something. And truly, this was just a blessing. We have been in a BNI group that Tom and Liz helped me join and supported that. And that's been a huge investment that's paid off many times over. So in BNI, we had advertised a lot that we were able to do facility cleaning. We have a lot of experience with that in the location that we owned in Washington before we sold it, and that we would like opportunities to do specifically. You want to get specific is what we were doing, and ask repeatedly for anybody to make an introduction to us for somebody that may work in assisted living facilities or HOA buildings or any facilities where they might need day cleaning is really what we were looking for. And so we there's a restoration company in our BNI group. There's a restoration company in most BNI groups. Well, not most, but many. And what I didn't understand is that restoration companies, they work in what they specialize in, and most of them don't do everything. And so the one in my group does flood cleanup and fire. That's right. Thank you. And so everything else gets referred out. And so they started having memory care facilities, assisted living facilities, and some similar types of things, even residential, people calling them asking for quotes. And they don't know how to do any medical cleaning, let alone, sanitizing for COVID and that kind of thing. And so they called me because I had said many times we would like to do assisted living. And so that was in his head. So my initial barrier, like many of us, is we don't know where to get the PPE. Medical cleaning, many of us have done medical, but we did. So we were confident. We know that the processes we use, will work for COVID, and we know that they're compliant with what hospitals do. And so it was, that part wasn't hard, but we worked in partnership with the restoration company. They supply the PPE, they get the clients, and they do the billing. So we just supply the employees, the training, and the supplies, as far as cleaning supplies and equipment. So that actually started with how it often starts is such and such facility has had a report of this many cases of COVID. They need us there starting today. It doesn't mean they think that we're going to eliminate the COVID from their facility in one day. That particular facility we've been out off and on for four months or more. It was very tempting to say, well, I'm the owner, and it's Saturday and I'm not scheduled to work today, let alone clean. But I just didn't want to lose any opportunity, and I didn't really even know what it was going to be like. And so we just brought all the necessary equipment and supplies for clean that kind of work, met the owner of the restoration company at the facility, and any employees that we could get, which was literally one and my husband. So there was 3 of us on day one and a guy from restoration, but we had like a 2-hour notice. So that's the thing, is that this kind of work isn't just to eliminate COVID. A lot of this kind of work is these facilities, CYA, they're covering their rears, and you go in there in bunny suits, even if you don't need them, because you have to let the families and the employees know it's going to be okay. And that's a lot of what this kind of cleaning is about, not just eliminating COVID. It's keeping these people in business.
Yeah, but Sam, one of the things that always struck me is, you did not have any kind of, at that time, you didn't have any specific COVID training. So, and how did you overcome like the employee fear, and like did you not have any of your own fear? You're going into assisted living, all these old people. I mean, I would have just been like, ah.
So that is a really, really good point. Employees were fearful at first. I had to walk off the job on maybe the first real day one, not the pretend day one where we just made an appearance and looked like we were cleaning. We were cleaning, but we didn't get a lot done that day. I mean, let's face it. It's not like something I want to do all day long for 10 hours. So you make an appearance, you clean some stuff, you make them feel better, and you come back on Monday with a full staff. So yeah, I wasn't concerned. The facts are the facts. And although the news wants to change the facts all the time and different things come out here and there, the CDC and the EPA, we have EPA regulated chemicals. This is not rocket science. We know, that we can look at the EPA website, we can look at the CDC website, we can see that many things will deactivate COVID. And so I use a standard hospital grade disinfectant. And, it's probably even overkill for what we need. We could probably do it with even a lesser cleaner, but we want to err on the side of caution. We want to do everything to the highest possible standard. And so because we had full PPE with N95 masks that are the good ones, the NIOSH ones that, you get from the restoration supply companies, I wasn't concerned. Truly, I really wasn't. I mean, we have the full coveralls. If you wanted
How did you
to,
find them? How did you find them when nobody else could find them? You're right. Because wasn't there at that time, there was a big backlog and people were like, nobody needs to be using N95 because the hospitals need them. And so like, how were you getting stuff when nobody else could?
It's crazy. We can still get them because we're getting them through the supplier. It's called, the one we're using is called a Baytix. And I'll share their information later. They're not in everywhere, but they're in a lot of places in the US. And so the people that are already buying those supplies can continue to buy those supplies. It's an essential service, whether it's flood cleanup or COVID cleanup or, asbestos. And so they've been continually purchasing. It didn't really change their level of purchasing. So we were able to, they supply it. I bill like similar to a residential rate. In fact, even just slightly less, which probably dumb. I'll change that in the future. But the restoration company is adding like $30 an hour to $50 an hour on top. I think they're charging like $50 on top of so they're more than doubling our rate, and they're covering all the PPE. However, I am getting it myself now too from the same supplier.
So in the beginning, you were having the restoration company get it because they had already been purchasing this stuff, so they had ready access to it, and then you could get it from them. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you have an M, and like last week, I went and picked up an order for myself, and I called the restoration company and said, "Hey, I'm going to be down at a Baytex. Do you want me to grab your order?" Because I mean, they always have an order, and it's in downtown Phoenix. And he said, "Sure, that'd be great." Well, if I didn't have an account, I could have easily said what I said before, which is I work with this person who has an account with you. We do a lot of work together. I don't really want to wait to always have them call the orders in. Can I just set up my own account? If they already know who you're working with, they didn't even question me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense because they're thinking that you're working with them. That's this essential service. You need the N95 to be able to meet the needs. Okay. I like that. That makes sense.
And truly, I mean, for a maid service with a maid name, not a restoration name, I think it's a really good place to start to work with a restoration. They can hang the barriers and they can get the PPE. They do the billing, and they're really taking the brunt of the liability even. I mean, I'm not saying we're not liable, but like their sign-offs are like crazy awesome, and we're a sub for them. So it's a really good way to get your foot in the door.
That's a really good point because your company name is Sun Life Maids.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, don't tell anybody what our name is.
Yeah. Similar, right? With us, American Made, that's also same thing. It's not good for that kind of work. It's not like that's who you're looking to hire. You're looking for, these companies that sound like they're going to be able to kill stuff.
Yeah, and
not move dust around.
Yeah, exactly. And use my Swiffer.
Yeah.
But you had asked about employees, and yeah, they were fearful at first until I got a few good ones in there that our regular residential people and even commercial were fearful, and only a couple wanted to do it. They would only do common areas. They wouldn't go in patient rooms. They wouldn't go near anybody with COVID. But I hired temps, and it was the best decision I've ever done. And I'm using almost all temps, even as team leaders on these jobs. And they're not afraid. They want to work. It's easy to sort through. If you get 200 applicants, it's easy to find the 5 or 10 that are going to show up and not be fearful. And we just drill it into them again and again. They have a massive release that they sign that they're aware of what's going on, and they're fine.
How do you teach them to clean in such a short amount of time, though, if they're temps? Because you have
That's the beauty. I literally never want to clean the house again. I just want hundreds of these jobs. You're sanitizing. It's not rocket science. It's not like you got to figure out how to get Mrs. Jones' gas stove really clean or how to properly, detail blinds and, China hutches. And you know what I'm saying? This is easy.
Patricia's asking if you're using sprayers. Can you kind of walk us through what the typical scope of work is, just to give us some perspective of what that looks like?
Yeah, I would. We don't use a sprayer in this kind of work. We certainly could, and we do have a sprayer, but no, they want everything hand wiped. They start with a deep clean, and they even wanted things magic erased. They want it to look perfectly clean in addition to being sanitized. And the process really is that we're just cleaning everything from the ceiling down. We were not instructed by this facility or any of the other facilities to clean the ceilings. But we use a flat mop to go anywhere we can't reach up high. And then everything, where we can reach is hand wiped, every single thing. So it's not just a head.
Hold on now. So start us back further, Sam, because you know what you do, so it seems so obvious. But so you got a flat mop, right? You're using flat mops to do the walls. What kind of product are you using, and how do people know how much to mix? Are they mixing with water? Are they spraying? They're cleaning first, right? And then they're having to go back after they clean and sanitize? Is that right?
Well, you would normally, yes. This facility has housekeeping staff, and so they're taking most of the soil. Actually, we have an agreement in writing that we don't clean up their urine and feces if somebody has an accident, for example. That's their job. We go in and sanitize after it's clean. So yes, if it's not already clean, it's a two-step process. In this case, it's already fairly clean. If we get to something that's not, yes, we clean it before we sanitize it. I can share my pictures. A picture's worth 1,000 words if you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great, Sam.
All right.
Um,
Sarah says hi.
Hello.
She says she's gonna see you soon.
Yeah, we're having lunch Saturday. We're gonna do a business strategy meeting.
Jealous.
Try to figure out how to make Phoenix pay us more money. Okay. So these pictures are all mixed up. Unfortunately, I'm not talented enough to put them in order.
I really have to make them big, Sam. It's really hard to see.
I'm going to. But first I want to start with, you said product. And so I'll just start there. How do I blow this guy up? Here we go. This happens to be the product I use. This is not, nobody really needs to write this down. Just use a hospital grade disinfectant that the EPA says is good for SARS. And I'll show you this particular one. You can see some of the information here that it's EPA registered. It's a viricide, it's a disinfectant, it's all these things. And I'll show you another, that was a product information sheet for Buckeye. This brand is Buckeye. You know, all your brands are going to have something similar, but you can see down here on this is several pages down in the product information sheet. I've highlighted here that it says it is effective for SARS associated coronavirus. It doesn't have to be necessarily this strain, but this product is found if you're looking at the EPA website, CDC website. This is acceptable product.
Sam, I just dropped the link to the list N off the EPA website, which lists like all the disinfectants that they have approved for COVID. And the list goes on forever. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a disinfectant that's not on the list. Yeah. But just to cover yourself, that list will let you know if it's good or not.
So starting from a very basic level, the product tells you how much to put in there on the bottle. It's again, not rocket science. Just follow the instructions. In this particular case, we did 2 ounces per gallon. And you can see somebody there with a flat mop. And the thing is you got to know your kill claim. So this one is a 10-minute dwell time for this particular virus. And so you have to have your mop pads and cloths wet enough, of course, to keep it wet, or a little longer, but that's just a basic.
So like for walls, you don't have to clean the walls first before you disinfect them or apply the disinfectant?
Nope. This product has a great surfactant in it. You would, again, you have to use your judgment. If it's dirt, if there's soil on the wall, yes, you have to remove it. But these walls are pretty clean. If they weren't, we would clean that area and then go over it again. So, I mean, you can see them, they're just cleaning. And actually for us, you know, I'm not the person that's going out and doing crime scene where we're throwing everything away. We did throw all our cloths away for a while, our microfibers. And then I just thought this is just dumb because we know the government has said when you wash your hands, it deactivates the virus. If you launder things, it deactivates the virus. If you wipe it down with a lot of things, I'm not even going to use products right now, but this is not a hard virus, as we know, to deactivate. So we started laundering them, and we're not even throwing them away anymore, which is not a big deal if somebody wants us to do that we can do that. But what I want to show you in this picture is that they are using a regular bucket. They're using regular cleaning supplies, as far as we just use a couple cleaning supplies when it comes to an area that actually needs cleaned before we disinfect it. So if we were going to clean a window or a mirror, we would, you know, wash it down with disinfectant. And then after that, we would clean it with the window cleaner so it doesn't look all smeary, that kind of thing. So they are cleaning the toilet bowl and disinfecting it, for example.
Okay.
And then we are very careful to sanitize every single item of, for example, the toilet brushes get put in a bucket of disinfectant. Everything gets, soaked or whatever before we wrap up it for the day, every single thing.
Yeah, and it looks like they're in, you were talking about full PPE, but not like hoods. Oh, we got hats on
They
over
have
here.
hoods. We chose not to have them up. We let them choose. I think they just put these up for pictures, to be honest. The thing
And
is,
then they don't have the gloves taped either. I see they have tape everywhere else.
You see here, I think she has her gloves taped. That is a terrible picture. We do tape sometimes. We stopped taping because we realized that the tape was really, our suits were very long. And again, you have to look at what you're doing. Are you doing asbestos? Are you doing COVID? Are you doing, flood? What are you doing? For us, we didn't feel it was necessary to tape. So we stopped doing it. Certainly, if you want to err on the side of caution, you could. We did use the tape in other ways, though, like to make the suits fit. And by the way, we have a gentleman on a job right now that is very large, and these suits, you can see that they're too big, and that's why they're taped, to keep them from tripping. But this gentleman was very large. They're wearing, I think, a men's XL suit, and they're just a unisex, but they do have up to very large. I don't know. We got him 4X, and they fit great. So.
Wow. All right. So one of the things that you also said, Sam, was that you're charging like a little bit less than your residential rate.
I knew.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I didn't know how hard it was going to be to get these jobs. And I didn't know how much the restoration company would need to add on top of what I'm adding. Turns out he's adding like literally more than double. So I think he's more than covered his PPE. We can look at the bill for PPE later and you'll see it's not that much. I figure I can do, what did I think? $15 a day in PPE per employee. So to double the hourly cost or triple the hourly cost is not necessary at all. He's the one making all the money. I know now though, and I can get the PPE now so I can go get my own jobs. But I'll need to do a different DBA and different insurance before I do that.
Do you know what he's billing per hour?
He told me the lowest he's ever billed is $68 an hour, and that was not for COVID cleaning. That was for us when we go in to these facilities. This is a behavioral health facility. This is a memory care facility. This is another memory care facility. When we go into these facilities, they have housekeepers, and because of COVID, they can't keep their housekeeping staff. I don't know if you've experienced anything with Frankie, but the housekeepers are walking out constantly. It's a constant hamster wheel of new people. So we are sometimes covering for housekeeping, which is an entirely different scope of work, entirely different job. But I think he's charging them $68 an hour when we do that. And I think he charges them $85 an hour for COVID. And our residential rate's $43, and we're charging less than that. And again, I was just like, I didn't want to not get the work. I didn't realize that he was going to mark it up that much. But I will also tell you that he has lost a lot of bids. And there's I think most of the ones he's lost are residential too. But.
Yeah. We had Sharon Grammer on, and this was like early on when there was we knew a lot less about code than we do now. And she does disaster recovery work, suicide scenes, murders, stuff.
I gotta go back and watch that. I saw part of it.
And she charges what, 150 to 250 an hour.
It's insane.
Yeah. But she was like electrostatic spraying and using other misters and
and those aren't hard. I mean, the sprayers are hard to get, but the foggers aren't hard to get, and a lot of people want that too. But they haven't requested that because they want the cleaning as well. Just on a basic level, when we're looking at the cleaning, for example, we're not just, cleaning the chair. We're turning it upside down and cleaning the underside of it, the legs all the way to the bottom, for example. On a nightstand, we're cleaning the inside of the drawers as long as they're empty, but we're cleaning the back of the nightstand. We're cleaning everything. If it's a bed, we're taking it apart and cleaning the rails and cleaning the mattress all around and all those things.
Are you cleaning occupied rooms?
Yeah, you can actually see in some of these pictures. I took anything out where you could see anybody's faces, but there's people in these facilities the whole time we're there. So yeah, the behavioral health was hard because they're in the Crazyville over there locked up. And so that was difficult. This was easy because, as you can see, we have our supplies with us. With the behavioral health, the residents there or the people that are staying there are potentially going to take your supplies and like use them as a weapon. So you have to keep them locked up, and unless there's nobody in the room. Like if you go into a patient room and you shut the door in behavioral health and they're not in there, then you can have your supplies. But if you're in a common area like this area you see here and they're around, you can't have any supplies. You have to like take a bag of wrung out cloths and, go back to the janitorial closet every 5 minutes and get new ones. It's crazy. So you got to account for that time. One thing I learned, I think is really important to know about billing is that when you're thinking about the time it takes with this facility right here, the first time we quoted a certain amount for the patient rooms and a certain amount for common areas. And then we later found that they can throw, things at you all the time. Like there's people in your way, slowing you down, all those sorts of things. All the other facilities that we've done since then, we have done hourly billing for.
So in some of these facilities, the patients, if you will, the residents are of a state of mind where they might take your cleaning products and do something harmful with them.
I mean, they're not mentally right at that time. And so they're in a facility, either they maybe smack their caregivers around or whatever. The Alzheimer's patients in the memory care and assisted living facilities, the biggest thing is safety. And part of our, our release here is that it says on here, like, this is a locked, secured facility. Don't let anybody on the patio. They might get heat stroke. Don't let anybody outside. They might try to shove you over and get out the door. So there's some of that training. But Liz asked about training. This cleaning is so simple. You can see we're just wiping things. There's really not rocket science here. This is manual labor that they need to be shown, and then they need to be monitored by somebody that you've trained to do the job that will make sure it's getting done correctly. And we're doing everything, pictures, couches, all the parts of the lamp, all the things, but this is very simple. Blinds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you say that it's really simple, Sam, on the one hand, but then on the other hand, I'm hearing you say things like, we're flipping over end tables and we're doing the bottoms and we're doing the backs. These are not things that most people think of cleaning. So I don't think it is common sense to most people to clean those things.
Not at all. But and we just learned as we went, they told us what they wanted and they were being instructed by the CDC. So, I mean, that was great. It was a great opportunity.
Is the scope of work a little bit different from one property to the next?
Not really, not for this, but it probably is for other people. I will tell you, it's developed. Let's see what changed. I was thinking about that. Something changed. Well, I will tell you one thing. Used to be that this is where do you put on your PPE? Where do you leave your stuff? That sort of thing. So at this facility right here, they actually had a giant trash bag right outside the door here. There's benches on both sides of the doors. We put on our PPE out there. There's a conference room right here, right inside the lobby. They had us leave their PPE there for months. They had us put our PPE there. And we went in and there's a lobby restroom. We washed our hands and, went in the conference room or outside, put on PPE. And then we went into the facility. When we came out, we came outside onto the front area and, doffed our PPE, put it in bags, and technically, if you're doing an asbestos job or a flood job, you take your trash with you. In this case, they let us leave it, but that's a technical thing that you'd want to find out is, this is not biohazard. It's not a red bag. It can go in your dumpster. Is that okay? Because, there's that when I was talking about cost, is like, there's the cost to take that stuff away. There's the cost of people, cost of, hanging barriers if they want that. And it's not like COVID's not going to, go through their air system. This was the dumbest thing I ever saw. They hung barriers all over. They paid, I think it cost $1,000 to hang barriers in one facility. And there's probably, 6 barriers. And yet their HVAC system's all connected. So I ask about it and they're like, well, it tells the families that, we're cleaning this area, but we're not cleaning that area right now. Or it just makes them feel better. I mean, I hate to say it, but we're following.
It's psychological, isn't it?
But yeah, it's not logical. I mean, are you friggin' serious? The system's all connected.
But it is. I mean, because you're speaking to the psychological piece of it, and versus the physical piece of it, right there. And there's both types of safety, and they're both important.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's a big part of this, and it's really important. But we did learn how to put up barriers. They use really awesome duct tape and screws if it starts to fall. There's techniques for this. This is also something I'm sure you can learn on YouTube. But that was a big scary thing for me is, well, how do I hang barriers? And, they did the barriers, but now I know how to do the barriers.
Patricia. Oh, Tricia has a question on here.
Yeah.
Tom, do you see that?
Yeah.
Should I unshare my screen or do you want me to keep those up?
No, you can keep them up. Patricia's
probably ask more questions.
Bloggers, but she's worried about running electronics.
Yeah, so they didn't have, there wasn't hardly any in these types of facilities, to be honest, but you can see we're cleaning a TV here. We were instructed to clean the front of paintings in schools, I would think, but definitely in all these kinds of facilities where there's elderly patients, everything is urine proof. Everything is blood proof. I mean, so you wipe it all down. You just wipe it all down. And they sign a release. Like I told them with the blinds, like, we're going to be chopping up your blinds. Like they're going to be dented. They're like, that's okay. And they have to sign a release. As far as electronics, we had very little of that. But I think it's something that they need to either take out or sign a release.
But it sounds like you also weren't using sprayers or foggers at the time.
That is correct, that's a completely separate question. These guys didn't want that anyway. I mean, we had the foggers at the time. I didn't have a sprayer, but we had foggers at Gateway we could have used. They didn't want it.
Are you doing these facilities on some type of recurring basis?
Yeah, absolutely. This is when there's an outbreak of any kind, they schedule us to come in immediately, even if we can only get a few staff there, to the visual presence of us being there, hang barriers, come in, make sure you wear a white suit. As the CDC's come out and said, guys, this is really airborne and surfaces. It's really not, fomites on your clothes so much. We certainly could have done what everybody else in these medical settings is doing and just wearing a gown. But we're doing this because this is what they want for the mental safety part of it. Sure. And of course, for our employees, in case they're skittish or there's any liability, something we didn't know, it's always best practice. So, yeah, I think I got off track and lost track of the question.
No, but the recurring frequency. So if there's an outbreak, you go out immediately. But if there is no outbreak, do you go back every so often just as a preventative? Yeah.
So how it works with COVID is that you never know who has it, as you know, and they think it's better and then it's not. And so we generally start a facility. There was a behavioral health facility we did in a week and we were done and that was it. And if they have an outbreak, I'm sure they'll have us back. But they are screening so carefully, they feel like they're okay for now. That was unusual. I had basically 4 people there for 5 days, full days, and that was done. And these other facilities you go in, you start with a deep clean. where you're going up to the ceiling, you're using magic erasers. The baseboards are dirty, so you're cleaning those before you disinfect all those things. You're doing the full deep clean, right here on the lamp, you're doing the little bar, you're doing everything. And then after you've done the whole facility that way, what they've been having us do in both of their memory care facilities is every single day clean all the touch points, meaning tabletop, like just not the legs of the tables, but everything else, anything anybody could reach with their hand. So even a few inches under the bottom, counters right here. When you see a hallway, we would clean shoulder to shin every day, wipe down everything shoulder to shin, basically any touch points. Some facilities have us mop, some don't. And then just going through the patient rooms. What their drill was is every single day you clean all common areas, touch points, and then once a week, every single room has to be deep cleaned at least once. So in this facility, there's 15 rooms per neighborhood, they call it. This is a neighborhood right here. It's like a little pod. And so there's 60 rooms total in the facility. So it's a very small facility. And we would just circulate around. Our drill was that we would do one pod per day. That way we would get done by Thursday, because inevitably something would happen, or if somebody doesn't, you're not screwed. You still get it done by Friday. And then Saturday, we tried not to have any rooms scheduled, just common areas. So it was a partial day, because just for obvious reasons, people might not show up on Saturday or something. We've been in these facilities off and on for 4 months in this facility, and then 3 weeks now. So we're through the deep clean, and now we're on the maintenance cleans for another facility that is currently going. They'll retest for COVID. Everybody that's been in quarantine, they have to stay in their rooms. And if they won't, they lock them. And they will come out. So we have people that are going to be coming out of quarantine the next few days. So we know that we're trying to get all the rooms done by Thursday, because we know they're going to start giving us a list, and they're going to say, these rooms need to be deep cleaned. So, I mean, that person had COVID, every single thing is done. The inside of the drawers, the coat hanger, everything. So we'll continue that until they decide that they're clear. And then they'll test everybody again. And it's like, oh my gosh, we have cases again, and come back. A lot of what we're doing is subbing for housekeeping too, though, because they just can't keep their housekeepers on staff.
So you're using subs for all of this work. So
I'm not using subs for anything. They're all employees.
Okay. Temp. What'd you call them? Temps? Temp workers?
Temporary workers, but they're employees, because I didn't feel like, maybe that's the wrong choice, but for me, I want them to be covered by workman's comp, and I want them to be covered.
So you're not using a temporary labor agency. These are people you're actually hiring.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. That's different information than I had in my head. Good to know, Sam. All right. So explain to me earlier on the call, you said that it's really easy to pick the 10 people that out of a list of 100 that are going to show up and that are going to be good fit for this work. How? Like, what do you mean it's really easy? How do you know?
Compared to residential, where I have to care what their personalities are like, and if we're all gonna have a good culture, like, I don't care. Just show up and do your work, and don't steal things, and don't come drunk. Pretty much. And you guys know me. You know how, like, I'm super, like, I will interview the hell out of people. They're like, what are you, crazy? Just hire me. But these people, they get a 10 to 15 minute interview over the phone. If they're good, they're told to show up. We see if they show up. We hire twice as many as we need to show up for the day. If I need 4, I hire 8. Minimum 6, like, if that's just all you could get. But I mean, we hired 5 one day, 5 or 6, and I had 1 show up. What happens is you guys need to know they're gonna, it doesn't matter. I'm paying them $16 an hour, and minimums, I think, 12. They are excited, and then they tell all their friends, and their friends are not excited, their grandma's not excited, their parents aren't excited, and half of them are flakes anyways. So that's why they're applying for temporary work. So you hire them way more than you need, but you get your good people, and then they start referring other people. If you have a 2, 3, 4 week job, 4 month job, whatever, you get people that are just amazing quality people. There's great people out there. So we just do
So initially it's not easy, but then you start getting some good people that help you refer other people, etc. How many hours do you have them working per week? I mean, on average.
For me, I don't even care if they hit overtime because I just want I want to bill for the job and I want to keep the job and keep everybody happy. And I would rather have a little overtime on a Saturday because we don't do Sunday. They accepted that as a condition. But we would do Sunday if they pushed, but they didn't. So I'm like, okay, cool. But they're working 7 to 8 hours a day and then a partial day on Saturday. Well, we don't need the whole team on Saturday unless they throw a bunch of people coming out of quarantine, a bunch of deep clean rooms. Okay. So, I mean, some people, I think 2 people might get a little overtime, but we tell them 7 to 8 hours. We don't want them in the suit for more than 4 hours. We try to make it like, 3 to 4 hour shift and have them stop at a stopping point based on their judgment and then take everything off, throw it away, go take a break, go take a lunch, whatever. And we combine the breaks and lunches because we're in Arizona. We have that right. If you're in another state, you're going to go through double the PPE or triple the PPE. In Arizona, we don't even have to give them a break, let alone a lunch. And of course we do, but we tell them you get 2 10-minute breaks paid. That's 20 minutes. And you can have a 30-minute unpaid lunch. And let's combine that to 50 minutes in the middle of the day. However, if you're cleaning, you need to go to the bathroom, take it all off, throw it away, and go to the bathroom. But they really don't like to take it off and on. And so they'll make it till lunchtime. And so it works great.
Yeah, I'm thinking the biggest problem would be smokers, right? They can't really go 4 hours without a cigarette.
I mean, I would be hesitant to hire them, but
yeah,
they just have to be told there's 1 break a day. And if you need to stop to urinate, like that's it. And we allow them to sit down and take a break. They can sit down and take a break, like rest. They can rest. We just don't want them going outside where they got to take everything off.
And throw everything away and then re-suit up because that takes time.
And I think another important thing is that we did not allow them to have cell phones in the facility behind the lobby for a long time, months, because we see it as a massive liability for obvious reasons. They're going to touch their phones. There was one facility we were in, that behavioral health facility we were in for a week, and they kept getting on their cell phones because I let them have AirPods or whatever, and it was a huge mistake. My daughter got sick, luckily from the flight, but I thought she got sick from touching her cell phone in the facility, and that was scary. Like, did I get my daughter sick, like by letting her touch the phone? So we do have a team leader that's allowed to have a phone, and if she needs to use it, she takes off all her gloves, washes her hands, gets her phone, uses it, puts it away, washes her hands, puts the gloves back on. That's our process. And again, remember that, the best process is always to leave, doff your PPE, wash, use your cell phone, put everything back on, go back in. That's what we did the first several months. But I think that that's really key, because if you let people have a cell phone in the facility, they're going to germ it up. It's not safe.
Yeah. All right, so I have 2 questions. Leslie wanted to know what you're paying. I think you said you're paying 16 and normally you would pay 12. Is that right?
No, 12's minimum. My residential girls make 14 to 15 typically, but we want them to make more.
So they're not making a lot more for the COVID cleaning.
They feel like they're making a lot more. A lot of them, their work history, they only make $13 an hour, 14 an hour. Of course, if you there's hard workers that are laid off and they're used to making $25 an hour. I've had some still take the job to fill it.
Just because they need work. Okay.
Marla was so cute. You're so nice, Marla. Thank you. It was just handed to me, really, truly. It was a blessing.
All right, but you are also figuring out, this is your PPE. I didn't even notice this until just now. You have your PPE here.
This was the biggest obstacle for me and the scariest thing for me. And the reason I didn't immediately go to the other assisted living facilities, because I was like, I don't even know how I can get PPE. They're not going to sell it to me. Every janitorial supplier you call, they won't give you toilet paper unless you're already buying it there. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
So you've got to get, you may even be able to set up an account with a company that sells restoration supplies. That's what you need. But I wanted to show people, like, I'm not paying this. I'm paying it if I go to a job on my own as Sun Life Mates, but the restoration company is doing this. And also, just FYI, you don't need 8 mil nitro. 4 is just fine. This is, again, not asbestos. We're not going to tear it because we're not ripping out walls, and we don't have saws. And so the 8 is totally unnecessary. So for $128 the other day, this is only 6 boxes. I bought 12 boxes. So I bought a case of these 4 mils, and there's, I think, 100 in each box. So, I mean, how you all getting gouged at janitorial suppliers or online, go, if you can get one of these, like a Baytex type places. I mean, the mask down here, respirator, 20 masks, $10.95. So, and they'll sell me 80 at a time. That's my limit on masks. And they do run out of the gloves sometimes in men's sizes, particularly like large and extra large are sometimes harder to get than medium. Actually, large is really the one they struggle with, but they always get them. They have multiple suppliers.
And Trisha says she has contacts for PPE if anyone needs it. I do. Trisha, I'm always looking for a better price on PPE.
That's great. These guys are not everywhere, and there's a million companies like them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So for anybody that's looking to get into this, your recommendations, like short version, are sign up with somebody that's already doing restoration, hook up with them, hopefully through some sort of like a BNI or networking contact.
Or call them. Just call them.
Because if they don't have anybody already, is what you're thinking?
Or they can't keep up. People are having a hard time with staffing. They're afraid. Staff walked out the job. You call them last month, call again.
Okay. So just keep calling. Oh, my other question, I forgot. I thought of it earlier. You said that you thought that Savannah got COVID from the job.
Oh yeah, she didn't. Luckily.
How did you find that out, though?
Oh,
okay.
Just deduction. She was she started this COVID clean on a Monday. On Tuesday, she started getting a sore throat. But she had been on a plane on Sunday. She flew to Arizona to clean. So she started getting a sore throat, and then the next day, a little bit more. But anyway, she went to the doctor. The doctor said, you may get a negative test, but you have COVID. We hear that a lot, right? No matter what the test says, you have COVID. I do believe she probably did. The doctor explained this series of symptoms in young people, that they get this sore throat and then it goes away, and then they get the next symptom and then it goes away, and so forth. So her test did come back negative, but the only reason we figured it wasn't from the facility is because it was the second day that she started experiencing symptoms, and that's, according to the CDC, the minimum incubation period is 2 days. She'd only been there 1 day, and we were in the side of the facility that had been empty for 2 weeks. So we started there. Okay. So I felt like the airplane was the cloth mask. It was great.
How's she?
Oh, she was fine. She was out for, I don't know, 3 weeks maybe. Not because she was really sick. And I got what she had, whatever it was, if it was COVID, but it was so mild. I just quarantined myself for a week or something. But I had her quarantine because, for obvious reasons, you can't take chances. And so I had to wait until she had no symptoms at all. We have a girl that's out right now, and she has whatever symptoms. She doesn't think she has COVID. She took her test. We don't have results yet, but and she's been cleaned out of COVID facility, but I don't think she has that. If she does, she does. She doesn't know where she got it. I mean, nobody else in the job has it, but we don't let them come back until they're completely better with no medication. That's the rules. But in Arizona.
For how long? For how long though?
3 days with no symptoms of any kind and no medication. So if their throat is hurting, and so they're taking cough drops because their throat's hurting, you can't let them come back to work. They will, even after they're better and not contagious, they may have an occasional cough. And that's something that they allow, apparently.
And who's they? Where did you get the parameters? Oh, the health department.
The Arizona Health Department, and I regularly go and see. Actually, I have it in 2 weeks probably. See what the.
I'm glad you said the health department, because I'm like, this sounds really just like, kind really wasn't worried about it. Like,
No.
okay,
What the law is.
The CDC has some very generous guidance if you happen to be considered, a critical, care. If your job is considered critical, they make it really easy for you to work, even if you've been exposed, and even if they think that you might have COVID.
Yeah.
They get you back to work as quick as they can because they need people to do the work.
Yeah. We are taking temperatures. They sign in, they have to answer a questionnaire, and Made Central, they have a questionnaire for residential, but these commercial facilities, we wash our hands before we go in now. They have a hand washing station outside, and they're even more careful now. But yeah, we just use the Health Department Arizona guidelines, and so we're not getting ourselves in trouble with HIPAA.
Patricia wants to know really quick, are you going out and looking for contracts on your own?
I just got the PPE account right before I went on vacation. So I've been back a week. So I will. Yes, we'd like to do long-term work in these facilities like Tom.
are you doing other insurance, Sam?
Not at this time. At this time, Gateway gives them everything they have, and we give the restoration company what we have, and it apparently is sufficient.
Did you see that about Trisha? They had 8 exposures and COVID cases. Woo.
On the baseball team.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Youth sports.
Works with infectious doctors. Yeah, that's some higher risk there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at the top of the hour. An hour goes by,
Wow.
doesn't it?
It always does.
Cleaning Business Today. If you haven't subscribed, it's awesome. Really easy to do. Super easy. Email, first name, last name. You get our newsletter, late breaking news updates, things like that. Our resource page here. Tomorrow, Kurt Kempton's going to be with us. You know that's going to be awesome. You need to, be here 5 o'clock Eastern for that. Samantha, you're rocking it. I'm really impressed and just feel great for you and what you're doing out there. You're helping your community do some important work and building your business at the same time. This is super stuff.
Thank you. It's a
Yeah,
blessing.
and Sam, I really like that you just kind of take things in stride. I love that. It's like, okay, this is the new challenge. Let's just overcome this challenge. What do we need to do? How do we move forward?
I was really depressed
like,
for a while. I just didn't have a choice. I was depressed for a while. Of course, I was scared like everybody else. I was like on these calls for 5 or 6 hours a day. And I'm like, my husband thinks I'm insane. And honestly, these calls and for various vendors are what got us through to a place where we felt confident and understood, you know what, we follow the CDC guidelines and hopefully everything's good, but that is best use and best case. That's what we're doing. And it's going to be good enough.
Okay, guys. Well, we will see you here tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern. Be safe. Bye-bye.
thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Talk to you later.